give us some advice about making Ramadan more effective, and I'm going to share some of them. First advice is avoid arguments and fights. And you will see this is a very common thing in Muslim cultures. Even in cultures where people do not speak Arabic, they'll use this one Arabic sentence. You know, you're arguing with somebody, give me my money, you know, where's my money? You know, you get into arguing with somebody, and then you just say, Inni Sa'im, I'm fasting, Inni Sa'im. You know, and that just cools down everything. Okay, you know, maybe we shouldn't approach it that way, let's approach it another way. So avoid any type of arguments and fights. The second advice, according to the hadith, is avoid gossip and backbiting. And the hadith actually says that a person who engages in backbiting and gossip, they have gained nothing from the fast. They have gained nothing from Ramadan except hunger and thirst. So these are the things. Avoid fighting and avoid gossip. Now, of course, these things should be avoided all the time. And Ramadan is the time to look at all of these bad characteristics or bad actions to teach us, to help us to restrain from these things completely. This is the advice of the Prophet, if you to be upon it. The next advice is to pray more. To pray more. And I think this is an advice that Muslims do take to heart. You will see, especially, you'll see the Muslims come to the masjid in the evening for the evening prayers. So pray more. Even if you don't pray here or pray in the masjid, pray at home. Pray more than you normally pray. This is the advice of the Prophet. Next advice is to be more conscious of the needs of others. And if this means giving away some money, so be it. And people don't like to lose money, but sometimes you have to. And one narration about the Prophet, somebody has told him, or said about him, I can't recall exactly which of the Sahaba said this, but they said of the Prophet that he was the most generous in Ramadan. He was the most generous in Ramadan. Ramadan should increase your feeling of, not being so tight-fisted with your money. And to these advices that came from the Prophet, I would like to add, turn off the TV. You don't have to watch American Idol tonight. Turn the TV off. Try to shut off the noise and stress of modern life. I know that's not always possible, especially if your neighbor is blasting JC or something like that, especially under those circumstances. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but as much as is in your power, try to turn off all that energy from around you. Try to avoid it as much as possible. Avoid toxic people. That's very important too. Avoid toxic people. What's toxic people? People whose lives are so, how can I put this? So wild that even though you care for them and love them, whatever, they're going to hurt you in the end. They're going to hurt you. Just to use another analogy, if you loan a relative a car and that relative, he's a drug addict or he's involved in some kind of life like that, when he gets pulled over, they're going to take your car, right? They're going to take your car and they're going to pull your money. They're going to tow your car. You're going to spend your money to get the car out because your relative is not going to do it. So avoid toxic people as much as possible. It's one of the lessons of Ramadan. In Ramadan and outside Ramadan, but especially in Ramadan, because you don't want to go down and get your car out of the tow yard while you're fasting. At least I know I don't. Come to the mosque more. Spend time, quality time with the family. And overall, try to avoid stress. Ramadan is a time to work on ourselves. We all need to work on ourselves. So busy yourselves with that rather than the faults of others. And this is something which is very interesting. All the religious scriptures of the world and traditions of the world that I am aware of speak about this in some form or another. And in the Rasulullah, he said that the blessed is the person who is so preoccupied with his own faults that he doesn't see the faults of other people. That's what the Prophet said. Another advice is to try to be in the company of those who are sharing this experience. So if you normally are not around Muslims, for whatever reason, try to use Ramadan as the time to be around other Muslims. People who are sharing this experience. And have a positive mindset. A positive mindset. Fasting is a burden. If you think it is a burden, if you think fasting is a burden, it is a burden. So don't think of it as a burden. The same with prayer. Oh, I don't want to pray. I'm so tired. I don't want to get out of the bed. Well, you think it's a burden. So it'll become a burden. And the Quran, what's it say about prayer? It says, prayer is a burden, illa khashi'in, except for people who have the dedication in their hearts, the fulfill in their hearts, that that prayer is something important. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a blessed Ramadan, a month of rewards, and a month of spiritual growth and enlightenment. ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا آمنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين ربنا لا تجعلنا مع القوم الظالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك جميع الناس ليوم ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين وأقم الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر